army has a large amount of professions. You can join as a doctor, you can join as a veterinary doctor, you can join as a lawyer, you can join as a psychologist, and you can also join to fight. Logistics, air defense, lot of avenues are there. So, and there is one institute also here, my Bhago Corps Academy in Mohali. They train women. And the toughest selection is for women. Because entries are limited, vacancies are limited, and women are all doing well. Girls are all studious, they're doing well.
We are just
Angel Panvar is our chief guest today.
hello. Respected Lieutenant General R.S. Panvar, respected Lieutenant General K.J. Singh, Colonel Harkamal Sidhu, invited guests, faculty members, and dear students. It is a great pleasure to welcome you all to this important seminar on building a cyber resilient society, role of women towards cyber awareness and cyber defense. In today's digital world, ensuring cyber security is not just a technical necessity, but an ethical responsibility. This discussion will highlight the need for ethical frameworks in cybersecurity while emphasizing the crucial role of women in promoting cyber awareness and resilience. May I now request our Honorable Lieutenant General K.J. Singh to kindly welcome our very respected keynote speaker, Lieutenant General R.S. Panvar.
We'll give you a small plant and welcome.
May I request Lieutenant General K.J. Singh to please kindly present a planter to Professor Dr. Anita Kaushal, Principal, Postgraduate, Government College.
We have many plants in the house. This is one way. Thank you.
May I now request Professor Dr. Anita Kaushal to kindly present a planter to Honorable Lieutenant General K.J. Singh. Thank you very much, Panvar sir. Thank you. Oh, okay. May I request Ma'am Principal to kindly present this planter to our Honorable Keynote Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now request our college principal. It is a privilege to introduce Professor Dr. Anita Kaushal, the principal of Postgraduate Government College for Girls, Chandigarh. She is a dynamic leader and an accomplished academician. Dr. Kaushal has been instrumental in fostering a culture of excellence, innovation, and inclusivity within the institution. Under her guidance, the college continues to achieve remarkable milestones in education and community development. It is with great honor that I invite Professor Kaushal to extend a warm welcome to our esteemed guests and participants.
Honorable guests, distinguished speakers, faculty members, and my dear students. It is a matter of great privilege for me to accord a very warm welcome to all of you through today's insightful seminar, Building a Cyber Resilient Society, Role of Women Towards Cyber Awareness and Cyber Defense. In today's digitally interconnected world, cybersecurity is not just a technical challenge, but a societal necessity. As we embrace the benefits of digital transformation, we must also recognize the risks and vulnerabilities that come with it. On behalf of Postgraduate Government College for Girls, Sector 11, Chandigarh, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guests, experts, faculty members, and students for joining this very crucial discussion today. At the very outset, I would like to extend a warm welcome to our keynote speaker, Lieutenant General Dr. R.S. Panwar, who was commissioned into the Corps of Signals in 1976 and has led and held key command positions, including an electronic warfare brigade and the Military College of Telecommunications Engineering. A graduate of the National Defense College, he holds a master's degree in management from Osmania University and a doctorate in computer science, and is the first defense officer to have received the Distinguished Alumnus Award from IIT Bombay. Currently, he focuses on strategic thought in information operations, network-centric warfare, and emerging disruptive technologies. I also take this opportunity to welcome Lieutenant General K.J. Singh, former Western Army commander, who has commanded the Sikkim Corps, overseeing borders with 4 countries, including the strategic Siliguri corridor. A distinguished scholar warrior with over 50 years in uniform, he has served as Haryana State Information Commissioner and advisor to the Chief Minister of Haryana. Lieutenant General K.J. Singh holds the Maharaja Ranjit Singh Chair of Excellence at Punjab University and is currently an honorary professor at Punjab University and a professor of practice at the Chandigarh University. Actively engaged in defense manufacturing and cyber security, Lieutenant General K.J. Singh mentors corporate entities and has established the Gyan Chakra and Gyan Setu think tanks in Chandigarh. Recognized for his service, he has been awarded the PVSM, Bar to AVSM, and was also honored as an eminent Punjabi by the Punjab government. I extend a warm welcome to Colonel Harkamal Sidhu, an alumnus of IMA Dehradun and Military College of Telecommunication Engineering, MAU, who served for 22 years with the Corps of Signals and the Indian Army. A trained strategic cyber professional from Australian National University, Canberra, he also served at the cyber wing of the National Security Council of India. With an MTech in computer and cyber security, he has represented India in European and Central Asian countries and has led technical teams to Japan and Australia as well. His expertise lies in cyber strategy, privacy policy implementation, malware analysis, and mobile forensics, and he's currently the VP of a cyber security company. In today's digital era, cyber threats are a growing concern affecting individuals, businesses, and nations alike. As we navigate an increasingly interconnected world, the importance of cyber awareness and defense cannot be overstated. While technological advancements bring immense opportunities, they also pose risks that require vigilance, education, and proactive measures. This seminar today holds significance as it highlights the pivotal role of women in shaping a cyber-resilient society. Women are not just users of technology, but also leaders, innovators, and protectors in the cyber domain. Their contributions in cybersecurity, ethical hacking, digital forensics, and policy making are vital in ensuring a safer cyberspace for all. At the same time, empowering women with cyber awareness equips them to safeguard not only themselves, but also their families, their communities from online threats such as cyberbullying, identity theft, fraud, and misinformation. Today also marks a significant milestone as we here at Postgraduate Government College for Girls, Sector 11, formalize a Memorandum of Understanding with Gyan Setu think tank. This collaboration is a step forward in strengthening academic and research synergies through knowledge sharing on issues related to higher education, interdisciplinary studies, and professional growth. The MOU, I'm sure, will open doors for new learning opportunities, internships, and collaborative research across diverse disciplines, creating a strong foundation for students and scholars to engage in innovative ideas and impactful solutions. During this seminar, we will all have the honor of hearing from distinguished experts as they share their insights, experiences, and strategies on strengthening cyber resilience. Dear students, I call upon each one of you to actively participate, ask questions, and take away valuable knowledge that will help you become responsible digital citizens and potential leaders in cyber defense. Let us work together to build a cyber resilient society where everyone, especially women, play a crucial role in securing our digital future. With these words, I welcome all of you once again to this very important seminar today. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for this warm welcome and highlighting the concepts which we will dwell upon today. And now I invite on dais a tall, decorated officer and also now a professor of practice and educationist to dwell into the introduction of the theme.
Jai Hind, everybody. Jai Hind, sir. Smiling is compulsory, please. So please smile. Don't look so morose. You all got breakfast in the morning? Yes, sir. And you will get nice snacks after this. So please keep smiling. See, Gyan Setu is a think tank which has been established in this city, Tri-City. Because normally think tanks are established in Delhi. Many of them like USI, Clause, Vivekanand Foundation, India Foundation. So they are all clustered in Delhi. We experimented, we took this bold initiative to bring think tank to Chandigarh Tri-City. Because Tri-City has large number of people who are veterans, who have knowledge to share, which can be transferred to young students like you, experience and knowledge. So we want to serve, or we are serving for last 7 years as knowledge bridge, a bridge which links us to young people. We have a selfish motive because it keeps us current, it pushes back Alzheimer's for some years, keeps us relevant, and also it charges our batteries. We feel good that we have done something for society. So in this quest, this year we started doing MOUs, Memorandum of Understanding. That is basically a way to bind ourselves to some commitment. That every year, welcome Brigadier Chaudhary sir, please. No, Brigadier Chaudhary has circumnavigated the whole world in a sailing vessel. He has circumnavigated. He sailed round the world. So one day he maybe will speak to you on that. So we decided to do these memorandum of understanding which will bind us so that we do 1 or 2 events in a year. Ma'am has already given us a task, a subject, we are working on that. It's very relevant that we get into this domain of cyber. If you recall, I think 2 years back, the site of AIIMS was hacked. And All India Institute of Medical Science came to a grinding halt for 3-4 days. You would have also heard that the COVID website in Mumbai was hacked when COVID was going on. And such like things are happening in very rapid frequency. You would have also heard that power grid, which was supplying powers to train lines, had an outage for 10 to 12 hours. Then it was put together and once again it broke down. So who's doing this? Who is going to defeat us even without fighting a war? That's the question. And unfortunately, our adversaries, China and Pakistan, are very good at it. And they have taken some kind of, at least China has taken some kind of lead in this discipline. Now, when you want to address a problem, it is best to find today influencers. The best influencers today are sitting in front of you. Clap for yourself, please. You are the people who like the Japanese proverb, teach a mother and you'll teach the entire family. I modify it. I say, teach a woman and you'll teach the society. She is an influencer. As a sister, as a mother, as a teacher, as a wife. See, I was serving in Nagaland and they said, the women used to say that man is important. He is like head on the human body. But the woman is like the neck. She decides where the head moves. So you have that potential. And we feel good that we have taken up this subject and we are taking this through you. We feel nice. It's a good. And see, today India is becoming a knowledge economy. We have failed in manufacturing. We are not making much traction. But in knowledge economy, huge big knowledge centers are coming up. So we can work in this field. Colleges have that responsibility. So today's program is a simple program. It's not very complicated. We have Jal Panwar, who is also a soldier. He is a great academician. He is a doctorate in computers. So he's and he represents India today in cyber diplomacy. He goes to various countries and he negotiates how the artificial intelligence and all these things will roll out. So in the first part, I have requested him to give you a sense of what is happening in the world. In the field of cyber, in the field of artificial intelligence, and whatever he feels you need to know. And he's assured me that he goes and teaches at large number of universities and academic institutions. So it will be at your level. It will not go along with the ceiling. आपके साथ आपके दिमाग में जाएगा, सिर्फ सुनते रहना ध्यान से. Then we'll have a session, a proper session, academic session, in which we have not, we've had experience in our last program that you have too many panelists, you can't give them time, you end up fighting with them. So we have just limited number of panelists. But what is interesting is, how many of you have got Android phones? Raise your hands. iPhone wale nahi hai? Great. I love it. I am also Android. So, Kal Harkamal will do a cyber hygiene workshop with you. He will go along with your telephone, mobile, and will take you through paces what all settings and alerts to alter, so that you don't give permissions blindly and your mobile is not getting attacked without you knowing it also. So we have all that, and we're trying to get somebody from Chandigarh cyber cell also. So all in all, we promise you, we'll attempt to give you an interesting kind of this thing. And finally, like I told you, you'll also get good tea after this. So cheer up, keep smiling, please. Huh? I again and again see smile goes off. Keep your smile up. And now what remains for me is to hand over back to Professor Ambul, who will then invite the keynote speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your encouragement, boosting, and invoking in us the shared responsibilities to transform our lives through education, awareness, and we have to be more aware students, more aware citizens, and we have to just, rethink about the way we receive education. And I think that the initiative by our Honorable Principal, Professor Dr. Anita Kaushal, I think this panel discussion, this sharing will going to definitely help us in reframing not only our understanding, sir, but our own pedagogies. And I, with great pride, and it's a privilege to invite here on dais our keynote speaker, Lieutenant General R.S. Panwar. We can't imagine, the gentleman who has traveled, who has, been associated with the Indian Armed Forces. We have different domains, different, departments, but defense, security, the lives, we grow in a society where we look up to, respect the men in uniform. And, it's so surprising that these gentlemen are not just defending the borders with weapons, but they are equally learning, reading, establishing institution of mark eminence, both in education and, strengthening the security, the development, and the thinking and the lives of common people in our country. With deep respect, I invite Lieutenant General Dr. R.S. Panwar.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and bright young girls of this great college. First of all, I would like to express my greatest thanks to General KJ and Professor Kaushal for inviting me over. It's a real honor to be here. Seeing this last 15-20 minutes, I'm seeing a vibrancy here much more than what I expected. And I thank again General KJ for lifting up the spirits of this audience to a level where I suppose the receptiveness will be that much better. Okay. Now, what am I going to cover? I have about half an hour?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, when General KJ initially requested me role of, what the theme of this seminar is building a cyber resilient society, role of women. So I said, I don't really speak too much in that area. And he says, okay, cover a more general thing, bring in AI and things like that. But then with your permission, I gave a little rethought. And when I saw that theme formally floated, I thought I'll focus my talk purely on cyber aspects and not bring in additional ones, as it is half an hour is a little short time. But the manner in which I'll cover, or the perspective from which I'll cover, will be somewhat different than the cyber security paradigm which we normally talk of from let's say personal security and security of our critical infrastructure. It'll be from an armed forces perspective. And I was happy to hear in the initial words which Professor Kaushal said also, the topic was introduced about the ethical framework under which this entire cyber warfare, cyber operations need to be looked at. And also a little bit of a modification to my own, experience. Firstly, on the cyber, it's not cyber diplomacy. I am actually been involved for the last 3.5 years on AI diplomacy. While AI is related to cyber, but the focus is on AI, the ethical aspects of AI diplomacy, which again is a very important topic, but maybe another day. The second thing is, while I've been dealing with, I love teaching students, including in our own Military College of Telecommunication Engineering. I've been an instructor, and these days I've been taking talks to college interns and all, virtually. But mainly I've been speaking at the strategic level. And so there's an effort which has to be made to simplify it to a certain extent. So I hope I am able to convey whatever I have to say at your frequency. So with those few introductory words, let me then get to the content. So what I'll do is I'll try and relate this entire aspect of cyber attacks and say, what are we trying to secure? It's against attacks, against the changing nature of warfare. And General KJ mentioned certain aspects. He mentioned our primary adversary, China, and how cyber, there's a conflict between nations also which takes place. So you can look at cyber from two perspectives. One is from financial benefit. So you have cyber crime. You can also have industrial espionage. You get industrial secrets, again from a financial benefit point of view. And then you have the national security perspective. nations have to secure themselves against attacks from external threats. So I'm pretty certain, looking at the profiles of the likes of Colonel Harkamal, excellent profile, and the others who are there in the subsequent session, the aspect of cyber crime and probably cyber espionage also from industrial perspective will be well covered there. I'll focus my talk on the national security perspective as far as cyber warfare, and there we come to what is this changing character of warfare and where does cyber fit into this changing character of warfare in today's era, 21st century battle space. So, very brief words. In general, when nations fight, it's not just we think of the military, tanks and aircraft, fighter aircraft throwing bombs. All that aspect is kinetic warfare, which is in the yellow part which you see here. That's the military part. But as you see, they're all senior researchers and intelligent girls sitting here. So if you're watching the Ukraine-Russia-Ukraine conflict and other conflicts, you have the economic warfare, the sanctions and all which are imposed in great. So you hear of all these sanctions. Then the diplomatic efforts which are currently taking place to stop wars, and all the diplomacy efforts keep on going. And then there is this information component. So reference was made to disinformation. A lot of disinformation campaigns are going on, including against India by our adversaries, etc., etc. So that is the information component. These are referred to as the instruments of national power, which a state uses against its adversary state to achieve your politico-military objectives. So that is what warfare is all about. So cyber warfare fits into this information domain. Now this is from a whole of nation perspective. Everybody is involved, not just the military. In the military context, we talk of a 5-dimensional battle space. So we have the land, sea and air. You all familiar with Army, Navy, Air Force. Then you have a space dimension, which enables various things, including, for example, guiding of missiles and GPS and communications and so on and so forth. And then you have the 5th one, which is referred to as cyber, but really speaking, it has got a couple of components. So when you say cyber, you think of hacking, malicious code, hacking sites, etc., gaining information. Now that is the actual core cyber. You also have an electromagnetic domain. So you must have heard of jamming of radio sets and all. That's in the EM domain. So that's not really cyber. And cognitive domain. So when you heard of this disinformation things, disinformation narratives going on, influencing societies, creating, all these orange revolutions, if you've heard of, all that forms under the head of cognitive warfare. So we are really focusing on the cyber part. Each of these requires time to elaborate on. So just to put it in context, this is what we are going to talk about when nations fight against other nations. Okay. Now, what is this cyberspace which we are trying to defend? We say cyber resilient society, cyberspace. How can we visualize this? So you have your individual computers which you have in your desktops, and then you have groups of computers which may be referred to as intranets. So for example, your own college network, I'm sure there's a college network, that's an intranet. You have bigger networks in which national security involved, for example, transportation networks, energy networks, government networks, defense networks. All these are bigger, but they are all intranets, groups of computers, and they are communicating via a global cyberspace. Refer to it as the internet. Internet is that global cyberspace, visualized as the internet. And they all plugged into this internet, right? Now, since they are plugged into the internet, and internet itself is considered amongst the liberal democracies as a global commons, which means there's a free flow of information, which means that the enemy, the hacker sitting at the other side of the world, is at your doorstep. So if you have a computer on your desk, he can right up to your desk, he can come through the internet with no one trying to stop him. So that way, everyone has to fend for himself. So individuals have to fend for himself, and the larger networks have to fend for, all have to protect themselves. And the government has, they call it critical infrastructure. So 5 areas of critical infrastructures which are flashed on the screen, which you can see, which the government has identified. You could have more also. For example, somebody says that medical infrastructure, talked of the attack on the AIMS, etc. So that itself is a critical infrastructure, and so on and so forth. So this critical infrastructure from a defense point of view has to be protected, right? So this is one aspect of it, and this is what will be covered in more extensive detail in the next session. And within this, so there is critical infrastructure and there's non-critical. So anything that affects national security is referred to as critical. A computer sitting on my desk, for example, at home is not critical from a national security perspective. So those types of things are non-critical in nature. And you have heard of this Chinese, firewall, Great Firewall of China. So certain autocratic countries or certain countries have put across a national firewall around their entire cyberspace. Now that's the other perspective. That's called the cyber sovereignty perspective of how to protect your cyberspace. Now liberal democracies know there should be free flow of information. But Russia also is gearing towards it. So a national firewall which protects at least your critical infrastructure, your own cyberspace, there's a degree of protection. But it's militates against the free flow of information. So there's an ideological tension there. That must be remembered. In fact, I'm of the view that gradually, as and when cyber physical effects become more and more intensive, nations might have to go in for protecting with firewalls. It's referred to as the balkanization of the internet. So this is the larger perspective. Now, the types of threats, I told you about cyber crime, cyber espionage. There could also be strategic cyber espionage. You're gaining information from a national security point of view. Cyber terrorism, you understand. Cyber war. Now, cyber war is what I'm referring to as cyber war is when you're creating disruptive, destructive effects in adversary nations. Just like you do kinetic operations, you throw bombs. Through cyber means, you're creating a physical effect, destroying, for example, his transportation network and so on and so forth. That's what I'm referring to as offensive cyber operations. And this is where the armed forces come into play. Now, I'll get to that a little later. First, let me give you a few examples of major cyber attacks which have occurred over the last 10 years or so in the world. So first one, there's an error there under electrical grid, so don't read that. That doesn't pertain to the Ukraine electrical grid. This Ukraine attack, Russian attack on Ukraine's electrical grid in 2015, where I flashed it here, that's the first known attack on effective attack on critical infrastructure of one nation against another. First one in 2015, right? There, 250,000 subscribers were put offline for about a week or so. Then you had a WannaCry ransomware, large number of computers. This NotPetya attack is considered to be, it's again by Russia, it is considered to be the most destructive cyber attack worldwide. It created a damage is written 4 to 8, but some estimates are $10 billion across the world. So this is still considered the most destructive cyber attack in the world. Then you had the SolarWinds. I'll not go into that. You had the Colonial Pipeline attack, again attributed to I think Russia, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, I think it was Russia only in 2021, where the pipeline which supplies fuel to the east coast of the US was disrupted. And emergency was declared in 17 US states by the president, including Washington, D.C. So it's one of the major attacks. And then in conjunction with military ops, I told you the cyber can be used in conjunction with military operations, that 5-dimensional space which I talked to you about. So when Russia was going in for this attack in February of 2022, it attacked the Viasat network of Ukraine. And it completely disrupted their communications, and so they had to go in for Elon Musk Starlink. I'm sure most of you have heard of Elon Musk Starlink, and that is the mainstay of Ukraine communications today. So this is a very good example of cyber operations being used in conjunction with military operations. Now, the reason for flashing all these examples of cyber attacks is to tell you that strategic effects which affect the national security can take place purely through cyber means. That is the message which I wanted to convey. Right? And we will get to, when I talked of critical infrastructure, I'll try and relate it to what is your role of women. So, critical infrastructure, you would be in cyber security roles, because when you have to defend critical infrastructure, all private sectors, 60 to 70 or more percentage of critical infrastructure is maintained by the private sector. So if you have a cyber role in a private sector, in a cyber security role, you will be defending the critical infrastructure of the nation, so to say. Then on the attack front, I'll come to it. Now let us come to how do we defend our nation? So there are various strategies. So the first strategy is defense in depth, which means you put in so many obstacles pose so many obstacles to the attacker that he finds it's not worth it to cross all those obstacles. So for example, if you have a computer in a college, for example, you have a firewall in front of every computer, then you have a firewall, let us say, in a department, then you have a firewall at the college end. So different firewalls are coming into play. Then also, this cyber resilient society, I think the word resilience there has been used in a slightly different context, maybe in the disinformation context. I don't know in which context it has been used. But if you have resilience, that means if attacked, you have means of coming back to normal very fast. That's the cyber resilience part. That itself comes under defense in depth, or that sort of a realm where it is attacker feels what's the point in attacking? Well, some effect will be there and he'll come back to normal. So that is all defense in depth. It comes under that category. Then you have cyber deterrence, which means you do something to me, I'll do something much worse. And how do you do that? You have a cyber capability, offensive cyber capability, and then you declare it. I've got this cyber strategy, so you better not do something to me. So just declaring a cyber strategy is also part of cyber deterrence. You're deterring the adversary from doing anything against you. You can also signal. So for example, we had the attack on the Bombay electrical grid. We had the attack on the Ladakh electrical grid. All these are possibly forms of signaling which our adversary is using to tell us we've got cyber capabilities. And similarly, you can use your offensive cyber capabilities to signal to the adversary, you better not do anything. Right? And then there is offensive defense. So when conflict breaks out, when actual conflict breaks out, you might think that defense is you are just defending. Security is only defending and not doing anything. But no. Offensive defense, where you use offense as a form of defense, as part of defense. This is true for kinetic also. There is no war in which, we all armed forces, we are defending a nation. But when a war breaks out, you carry out offensives as part of your defensive strategy. So there again, that's the third strategy. So just remember that security doesn't only mean putting up your firewalls. You've got to have cyber power to dissuade your adversary from attacking you, and also use that as part of your offensive whenever conflict breaks out. So that's the overall picture as far as defensive strategy is concerned. So I'll not go into different ways in which you can employ your cyber power. There are many things here, but just remember, I've mentioned here, there's an arrow there. Right off that, I've said all-out conflict. Now I'm trying to relate the whole thing to international law. We said ethical frameworks. There's also legal framework under which cyber attacks can be justifiably carried out by one nation against other. You can't just start attacking somebody else. That's not permissible. So should also not be done. It's strategically not correct. So there is an all-out conflict, and left of that we call it the gray zone, which is now, for example, attacks are happening all the time. So in the gray zone, really speaking, international law, so to say, is not settled as of now as to what sort of a thing can be done, what cannot be done. But when you come to actual conflict, balloon has gone up, kinetic warfare is taking place. Under international law, can you just go in for a conflict? No. there is something called as the UN Charter, United Nations Charter. So there is one article there, Article 24 or something. You need not worry about the article number, which says a sovereign nation cannot attack another sovereign nation under international law. You know, sovereignty has to be protected. That's the first thing. But then there is an Article 51, which says if attacked, if there is an armed conflict, if your adversary attacks you, you are justified in attacking back and protecting yourself. Right? So that is called a justified war. There's a word for it, jus ad bellum. Justification for war. It is only under that realm can you attack an adversary, including in cyberspace. So it is internationally, all that is agreed of as of now is that as these are called the laws of war. You know, there's some laws of war also. So say under this UN Charter, just like kinetic operations are determined or governed, cyber conflicts in cyberspace are also governed by the same US Charter. So there is agreement on that. But what happens in the gray zone if somebody does something? So there are a lot of complications there which I'll not go into. That is another realm where cyber diplomacy was talked of, attributed. I have not participated in cyber diplomacy, but there is a cyber diplomatic efforts going on since 2004. There are a number of government. It's called GGs and open ended, a lot of things. I'll not confuse you with that. So there's a lot of efforts going on. How should conflicts in cyberspace be governed under international law? So those discussions have been going on for 20 years now. Not much progress has been made. Some progress has been made. So just remember, there is an international law also which has to be kept in mind while going in for cyber attacks. That's the main thing which you have to keep in mind. Okay. How powerful is India in the Committee of Cyber Powers of the world? So the only index which measures cyber power, not cyber security, is something called a Belfer National Security Index, Cyber Power Index. And there if you see, our adversary is very high up. In comprehensive cyber power, China is at number 2 and India is at number 26 amongst a group of 30 countries aspiring cyber powers. And in offensive cyber capability, again it has been shown as number 3 and number 22. So we have some way to go because China has spent a lot of effort. They created this strategic support force and they've pushed in a lot of effort. And we are gradually we are increasing our resources. And there again, there's a role for women in that, which I'll come to towards the last slide when I come to it, as to what role women can play as becoming part of this cyber force to increase the cyber power or enhance the cyber power of India vis-a-vis our primary adversaries. Right? Okay, so this gives a little bit on the organizations. Don't worry about all that is written there. The US was the first one to come up with a cyber command as part of its armed forces, cyber command in 2010. Then China came up with, I told you, the strategic support force, PLA strategic support force, which has now been restructured. It is called the cyber space force. It has been restructured now, and Russia has got its own, UK has got its own. One point which I want to bring out on this slide, you have cyber intelligence. Intelligence means it's a passive thing. Passive means you're not making yourself felt. Surreptitiously, covertly, you're intruding into some information which is lying with our adversary and you're extracting that information. So there's nothing physical felt in the adversary end. So that is cyber intelligence. So the intelligence agencies at the national level and the intelligence agencies within the armed forces also. Both types of intelligence are there. I'll just come to a slide where I'll show what intelligence agencies we are talking about. The other thing is, I told you, disruptive, where you're creating physically, destroying things at the other end. Now, you please note that both these activities go in parallel for quite some time. So first you have to, as would be brought out in the next session, I'm sure, first you have to get ingress into the adversary network. Once you've got ingress, you can either extract information or you can disrupt things there. So a lot of parallel expertise is required by intelligencies and the armed forces, because disruptive effects, in my view, that is not a widely or universally agreed view. In my view, armed forces are the right people to carry out disruptive effects in adversary territory, right? Okay. So what do we have? We have something called the NTRO. We have something called the NCIPC, which stands for National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center, which is the agency required, given the responsibility for protecting our critical infrastructure. Then you have CERT, Emergency Response Team, CERT India, which is generally looking at all cyber aspects in the country, issues advisories, including for non-critical infrastructure. So if you go onto the CERT site, a lot of advisories will be there: do this, do this, do this. So that is a certain. And then you have, within the armed forces, you have the Defense Cyber Agency, which has got a charter for, disruptive effects also. And you have other agencies within the armed forces. Army, Navy, Air Force has got its other agencies also, which have got their responsibilities for all these types of cyber effects. And then from a cyber security perspective, in the Ministry of Home Affairs, you have the CNIS division, which looks at cyber crime and it oversees all that. Although within states everywhere today also you will get cyber crime. Somebody is coming from the cyber crime section to tell you. So every state, so from Ministry of Home Affairs down to states, everyone is looking at how to reduce or address cyber crime, where normal citizens and societies. And there is also this other aspect of cognitive warfare. When you say cognitive warfare, you talk of these narratives, false narratives going on. Societies are getting affected. How to protect against influence of societies? So I think in one of the opening addresses it was mentioned that as ladies, as women, there's a huge role to play in aspect of protecting against disinformation narratives which might affect the society per se. So that's another very important place where women have a very great role to play. Not everybody has, but so also women. Okay, so I think I'll skip this part. It's also we are getting to the end of the time, so I'll skip this part. And here all I'm saying is I've already covered this aspect of it. Int agencies. So int agencies extract intelligence. Armed forces carry out disruptive effects. Grey zone operations. It's grey. Even the policy there is grey as of now as to should it be done. If it should be done, who should do it, under what circumstances is justified. So all that is a grey area. I'll skip this to Ukraine conflict. I have given some examples of Ukraine. So there's a lot of cyber activities which took place and is still going on. Russia is much stronger to start with. Subsequently, I mentioned Starlink and Viasat. Starlink itself was attacked as in the Ukraine conflict. And what did Ukraine do? It didn't have very strong cyber forces with itself, unlike Russia. So what it did is it gave a call over Telegram. I'm sure you're familiar with the Telegram. On Telegram, join us up. So whole lot of hackers from all over the world joined up from the West, who had West orientation. They joined up and formed this ad hoc IT army. That's how they fought. And then a lot of private sector like Microsoft and including US resources and all were put in to shore up the cyber security aspect of Ukraine. And that is why subsequently not much effect was felt of Russia's strong cyber capabilities. Although examples which I gave you, six examples I gave you, I think 5 of them were related to Russia. So despite its strong cyber capabilities, it was not able to make any significant effects, although there have been significant effects, but not to the extent it was thought it will make it. It was thought that maybe entire thing will come to a standstill. No, that did not happen. So now I come to my last slide. So to give a further input on role of women in cyber operations. So where all, okay, before that, look at this photograph. So it's a small one there, but that is cyber training going on in the Military College of Telecommunication and Engineering, and two of the people speakers here are from graduates of that institution. So I'll just touch upon that. Now, firstly, look at the left part. Women in cyber roles. There are a large number of women who are there in the corporate sector and other places who have adopted leading positions in cyber roles. At the same time, in India, I'm saying. At the same time, look at the statistics. You know what is STEM? Science, technology, engineering, mathematics. That's the four disciplines which come under STEM. And cyber is under that head. So 43% of STEM graduates in India, just a couple of years back statistics, there may be slight change. 43% of STEM graduates are women. Only 14 of them graduates, the education part, 43% are women. Only 14% pursue STEM careers. So they graduate, but they don't pursue a career in STEM disciplines. Only 7 to 8% are in top STEM roles, CEO and higher leadership roles, and only 1% is cybersecurity. So you see, there's a huge scope. And as the second part, I'll just cover that. So remember this part. This is the current status. Now there are reasons. The first two, gender stereotypes, lack of mentorship. This is part of the mentorship which is going on for you. So lack of mentorship. Societal pressures, which is true across the board, not just for cyber, childcare responsibilities and all. But remember, there was a study which was done which said that because of a combination of you're sitting here and many of your research scholars, so your intellectual capabilities are very high. At the same time, women are known to have strong intuitive capabilities. And cyber expertise requires a right balance between intellectual and intuitive capabilities to be successful. So there you have an upper hand as far as becoming good cyber, provided you are pushed means you are encouraged to go in that direction and adopt these roles. So remember that. What is the government doing? So there's a Cyber Siksha and many other initiatives which are there. The Cyber Siksha is a MeitY Microsoft DSCI. DSCI is a cyber security. What is it? The cyber security of India. Why am I forgetting what is DSCA?
Data Security Council of
Data Security Council of India. Yeah, Data Security Council of India. And remember, the CEO of the Data Security Council of India.
Vinay Goods.
Huh?
Vinay Goods.
No, the lady who was there before that.
Prabha.
Huh?
Prabha.
Prabha. Prabha or no. She's something. I'm getting senile, I think. So, so she was the CEO from 2016 to 2022. I've interacted with her also, incidentally. So I'm saying that if you put in the necessary focus and effort, there's no stopping women from rising high in the cyber security role. So there are some targets which have been set under this Cyber Siksha initiative, and there are many other initiatives which have been taken, including at state level. But the last bullet, women in armed forces. So we come from the core of signals. If you heard closely it's actually pronounced as core, so core of signals. And there are a large number of women. And like I showed you in that photograph, they are also participating. And let me tell you one thing. If you are interested in not just the security part or the defense part, but hacking or going into cyber attacks, justifiably you can only do if you're part of the armed forces. So remember that. But yes, there's another aspect of offensive cyber operations where offensive skills are required, hacking skills are required. That is called red teaming, and it was mentioned in one of the opening remarks. Ethical hacking. Now, ethical hacking, which means you have your own network and you have ethical hackers who you tell, okay, target my network and tell me where the vulnerabilities are. That's called ethical hacking. So ethical hacking also requires offensive cyber skills. So it's not just in the armed forces. You can do it as part in a private sector cybersecurity role, there's a huge market for ethical hacking because armed forces, limited number of people, but ethical hacking, every private sector firm requires ethical hackers to test out their networks. So this is another area where you can play a huge role. And we're also thinking of upgrading to a cyber command and things like that. So Corps of Signals, Armed Forces, if you're interested in the uniform and you're interested in the cyber field, well, Corps of Signals is a place to go. So with that, I come to an end. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, sir.
Professor Ambut, if
Yeah.
there is, if there are any questions you want to ask Jan Panwar, because he will be leaving. He's got some other engagement. So anything you wish to ask about what he presented, please feel free to ask. I just like to add one thing. You all have heard of National Security Advisor. Like who's National Security Advisor? Mr. Ajit Doval. You heard of Ajit Doval? But India is now realized that this domain also requires a separate coordinator. So there is a National Cyber Security Coordinator also. He is General Nair. General Nair from Corps of Signals. So he is there. And there's one more who looks after the maritime. So India is now looking at these things. We'll take 2 or 3 questions. If there are any questions, please ask.
Do we have a national cybersecurity policy?
And it's in the making. I believe it is. Once the Prime Minister announced it a couple of years back from Red Fort that it will be going to release soon, but they are still working on it. I believe it is going to be released very fast in the near future.
So just an observation, please. Wasn't a woman CEO of TCSI Rama Vedashri?
Absolutely, that's the one I was referring to.
So now professors can never miss. Before he goes, he's made the statement. Clap for him, please.
He's heading Public Administration Department. Mr. Ajay. Yeah. So, thank you very much, Lieutenant General R.S. Panwar, for sharing your expertise and thought-provoking perspectives. Your contributions have provided invaluable insights into the ethical, legal, and defense dimensions of cybersecurity and the importance of fostering inclusivity in digital resilience. And I think you have very creatively brought in, diverse perspectives, centering focus to your points in regard to what is cybersecurity and how, while you are engaging a computer at your place, any person can reach out there. And when it comes to national security or other spaces, so, citing examples from the Ukraine war and, bringing those concrete, I would say, statistics and, especially the opportunity part for the girls, which you have brought in your presentation, and the reference of these organizations, which are part of the cyber security within our country and international spaces. I think it has brought, and I would say we are intrigued by. I mean, there is so much to and so much scope and so much opportunity to serve and to engage this educational dialogue into these spaces. I think definitely we have to rethink, and I think it has encouraged us. We were just spellbound by the kind of articulation and the pictures and the information which you have brought in this keynote address, and understanding the the audience you are speaking to, the students. So thank you so much for your this very encouraging, insightful, and reflective perspectives.
Just a little this thing.
Yeah.
Panwar has consented to my request. He's going to leave these slides here. So anybody wants to refer to them, you can please take these slides and refer to these.
So, thank you so much. And yes, this day, 7th of February, it will go deep down into the memory lane. And I think in 2025, right from 1956, when this institution came into its existence, and there is a long list of alumni, you know, right from sitting High Court judges to Supreme Court to bureaucracy. Our own principal has been the student of this campus, was faculty with Department of English. I think we can go on, but yes, today is a special day. We are moving towards this memorandum of understanding between Gyan Setu and PGGCG 11. This collaboration highlights, as Honorable Principal Ma'am shared, the commitment to advancing interdisciplinary studies, where expertise from various fields come together, rightly mentioned by Lieutenant General KJ Singh sir, that we have to come together to strengthen the goals of higher education. And through this joint research, academic initiatives, and skill development programs, this partnership not only enhance educational excellence, but also contribute meaningful to nation-building efforts. And with that, may I request Honorable Principal Ma'am, Professor Dr. Anita Kaushal, and Lieutenant General KJ Singh to please sign this remarkable and much needed MOU. I request Ritu to please kindly take these papers for the signatures. And education makes it possible. All these gentlemen, these legend officers, both on the dais and beyond the dais, are symbols of, you know, the kind of achievements which they have got and they have been through the educational institution. They have got their education from the schools and their respective educational institutions, and now is the time to come back and build the strong bond of, you know, sharing with each other the experiences, the achievements, and how to build this whole system, this whole institution to a new promising tomorrow. And with that, now we move forward for the felicitations. And it's really a very happening day. And yeah, okay. Right. May I request Honorable Principal Ma'am and Lieutenant General KJ Singh to please exchange this MOU. Please give a big round of applause. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. And now we move on to the felicitations. With deep honor, I request Lieutenant General KJ Singh to please kindly present a memento to our keynote speaker, Lieutenant General Dr. R.S. Panwar. May I request General KJ Singh sir to kindly present this memento now to Professor Dr. Anita Kaushal, Principal, PGGCG 11.
for the college. This is customized diary, and there's one, if you can, yeah, please. This is to associate you with our think tank. We have presented to Judge Panwar here. This is a sort of, it's not goodie bag, it's got a, it's got a coffee mug, and it's got a Gyan Setu cap. So,
Please give a big round of applause to me.
I am not too sure whether this cap will be given to the learned and honorable Chief Secretary or ma'am will record it. I'm not too sure.
Sir
You might
is
see it on the golf
acknowledging
course.
I think I should retain it.
Yeah.
respected Chief Secretary Former Shri Sarvesh Kaushal. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. And with that, we come to the end and a new beginning for this dialogue on building a cyber resilient society, role of women towards cyber awareness and cyber defense. On behalf of Gyan Setu think tank, postgraduate Government College for Girls, Sector 11, Professor Dr. Anita Kaushal, we extend our hearty thanks to Lieutenant General Dr. R.S. Panwar for sparing his valuable time and coming all the way and sharing his keynote address with us this morning.